Hi, this is Travis in the Uncanny Valley. I have autism, and one of the things I'm trying to get better at is conflict resolution. And while every situation and every relationship is going to warrant different criteria, here's my comprehensive list of everything that I understand that I might need in a situation. So I'm trying to get better at establishing healthy boundaries and then confidently and calmly and politely make sure that they're maintained. Uh, my personal needs, as I understand them, are one, that it's a good time to address the issue. If it's not a good time, then neither of us should want to do this. Two, that we will only address a single issue, or at least a limited number of issues. I guess more to the point, a known number of issues, so that I can make the images in my head, or you can do whatever you need to do, but not surprise issues, ideally. Number three, that we'll have and will respect a time limit so that I can process everything that's getting discussed. Because I can't go for 2 hours on the same topic. If you can go for 2 hours, then we shouldn't go for three because that's beyond your limit. So I can go for a half hour, an hour, and I don't want to go beyond that because then I'm really going to struggle to process everything that's been gone over. And I don't think either of us should want that. So, four, that I can, as needed, get a break at any point to make sure that I'm keeping up with the things that are being said and understand it and process it um, in real time. Five, that I'll be able to do my best attempt at active listening. And when doing active listening, any part of that that gets frustrating could just be an indicator that that's something we need to work on, either that issue that's being discussed or the method. Um, Number six, that it'll be okay, that I'll be permitted to discuss the acceptable alternatives so that I can understand what they are. I need to know at least examples of acceptable alternatives, preferably even to see them uh, practiced out. If it's a social, emotional issue kind of thing, then I would definitely need to know what you consider to be acceptable alternatives because I was likely not doing an acceptable thing in the first place because I didn't know alternatives or acceptable alternatives. Number seven, that I'll be permitted to try to understand how or why these proposed methods are acceptable, as opposed to the actions or behavior that was being criticized. Because understanding what makes them acceptable will be a big part of what will help me understand why the previous method was so problematic. Number eight, that it can be explicitly affirmed. That means we will verbalize or could verbalize, or at least both clearly understand that the conversation itself is not an existential threat to that relationship. Now, the issue itself, the issue at hand, if left unresolved, that's reasonable that that could be an existential threat to the relationship. But if the conversation itself is an existential threat, then it's either not a good time to go over it or we don't agree on a healthy way to approach addressing it. Number nine, that I can walk away from the interaction with some critical information written down, sufficient that I can process it over a period of time. Now, whether that's written down by you or whether it's written down by me, that's not as critical. But I will need something written down so that I can refer back to it. Number 10, that when done, both parties could verbally affirm that we don't resent the other because they participated in this difficult encounter. Like, this is just as difficult for me as it is for you. So maybe just consider yourself fortunate that you haven't had to come up with a list of all the things that you need to happen to feel like you're being afforded some level of humanity. If all of the above, that's each and every one of these, can be done during the interaction, then the conflict can be resolved, or rather, it can at least be addressed. But if they can't all be agreed to, then I'm probably going to not proceed. Now, that's my list. So, since I have a growth mindset, like this list is going to evolve over time and it's going to be worded better and better. Things might get consolidated. things might get split up into multiple points, but this is just the way that my brain works. I have to have a list of things that I know I need. Um, Consider yourself fortunate if this seems odd, because it's probably just that your needs are so naturally met in most of your conversations with other neurotypical people that you don't even think you could come up with a list. So that's a good thing for you, I guess. But we're not all on the same brainwave, so let's be kind to each other.